Guys, welcome back for more J for J True Crime. Welcome back to J is for Justice. I am Jay, your host. Today's video is going to be about President Scott Green of the University of Idaho. C. Scott Green wrote a book on how he impacted the University of Idaho. He talked about his leadership in the book and how it has impacted U of I's enrollment achievements, financial obligations, research awards, and fundraising. He already hosted 2 book signings in December and 2 in January, but he states that the proceeds are going to the school's Vandal Healing Garden and Memorial, dedicated to remembering the students who died before they graduated. And those students' names are Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. But the backlash about this book doesn't seem to be the only issue that the president has on his plate, or had on his plate. Let's get into it.
We have a question on affirmative action. With all the recent discussion and changes to affirmative actions, how does the University of Idaho respond to that?
Well, we've always decisions on folks making hitting our criteria.
Well, Shakira Sanders was hired to teach law at the University of Idaho back in 2011. She was the first black woman and second person of color to be hired on as a full-time professor with the College of Law. Sanders says that she was unfairly discriminated and retaliated against by former Dean Mark Adams and interim Dean Gerald Long. According to the complaint, Sanders was denied promotions, never given a raise, and retaliated against for bringing up diversity issues. States that Sanders makes about $7,500 less than her white male counterparts who have the same credentials. The University of Idaho says they're not commenting on pending litigation, and the trial is scheduled for October the 11th.
On September 15th of 2023, the University of Idaho Law School settled the discrimination case with that professor for $750,000. And then on October 6th, 2023,
we have a question on affirmative action. With all the recent discussion and changes to affirmative action and concerns about legacy admissions, how does the University of Idaho respond to that?
President Green did this interview on a show on UI's YouTube channel called Cup of Joe, eerily similar to Kate's Cup of Joe that Brian Koberger drove by after the murders. But anyway, this was about affirmative action and how the college handles it. Her question seems to stump C. Scott Green.
Well, we've always based our decisions on folks making hitting our criteria. I'm struggling for the words exactly, but that's it. Basically, if you meet our criteria, you're accepted to the University of Idaho. So there's really no other basis for accepting students here. And since we're a public institution, it's kind of always been that way. Other institutions have not. And I understand why they did things the way they did. In fact, one of my mentors actually was one of the lawyers for Harvard, arguing that case.
The case that C. Scott Green is mentioning is the affirmative action lawsuit against Harvard. Back in June of 2023, the Supreme Court ruled on affirmative action programs at the University of North Carolina and Harvard. And it ended the systematic consideration of race in the admissions process. The court ruled that both programs violated the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution and are therefore unlawful. The vote was 6-3 in the UNC case and 6-2 in the Harvard case. As one thorn in the president's side went away, another one crept up when 3 University of Idaho College of Law students left the state in response to alleged discrimination that they received over the course of their enrollment. and this is stated in a federal lawsuit. The lawsuit was originally filed in September of 2023 and refiled in December. And it says that the students all identify as LGBTQ+. One is Black and one is Pacific Islander, and some have disabilities that the school did not accommodate. Each student claims they experienced hostility, racial aggressions, and a lack of response by the school when discrimination claims were brought to their attention. The lawsuit was served to the university, the State Board of Education, University President Scott Green, the dean of the law school, a professor, and a former law student, accusing them of Title IX violations. One plaintiff, known as John, in the lawsuit, hosted a mixer at his home in Moscow, Idaho in 2021 to get to know fellow law students. Some of them were from the Christian Legal Society, a chapter at the university that advocates for anti-abortion practices, religious freedom, free speech, and practices that, quote, remain in line with the historic Christian view about marriage and sexual conduct. At some point during the party, the plaintiff was cornered in his kitchen by a student who called him an offensive slur, often used against LGBTQ+. The suit said. John was not open about his sexuality at that point. Other people attending the mixer had to physically restrain the student who used the slur, who has not been charged with a crime. John reported the incident to the school. The Office of Civil Rights and investigations began looking into the complaint. At the same time, John claimed he was being intimidated by other Christian Legal Society members to, quote, just drop the complaint against the student. And this caused John to become more fearful of his safety at school. The investigations office concluded its report by writing that there was insufficient evidence to act because there was no sign of intimidation. A separate investigation ordered the student to stay away from John. Another plaintiff, known as Kelly, is Black and identifies as LGBTQ+. During orientation in 2021, there were multiple racist comments that made Kelly feel uncomfortable. Kelly said a student was justifying why they should be able to use slurs. Associate Dean of Students Christy Running said at a new student orientation that those who felt uncomfortable by the comment needed to be, quote, more lenient, according to the lawsuit. Kelly was also enrolled in a class where a professor said he might accidentally, quote, use the N-word, and told a Black student he would, quote, know all about car theft, according to the suit. As the semester progressed, she felt more alienated by her peers, as she was one of the few Black students in the law college. She reported what she knew to the school, but the school never provided any follow-up. The next year, the school held a moment of community in response to a slur that had been written on a whiteboard at UI Boise. Christian Legal Society members attended the event to hold a prayer circle. Kelly and another plaintiff known as Jane attended the moment of community to support their LGBTQ+ friends, but felt it had been hijacked. Afterwards, the lawsuit said, Jane approached a Christian Legal Society member to ask, quote, why they were attending the moment of community in support of the LGBTQIA+ community when CLS publicly condemned and rebuked LGBTQIA+ community. The lawsuit says the students were met with hostility by 3 Christian Legal Society members when they claimed they have no rights and they were going to hell. Jane also received a note she perceived as threatening from the Christian Legal Society president that caused her to have a panic attack, according to the lawsuit. She reported this interaction to the investigations office, and the university issued a no-contact order based on its Title IX sexual harassment policy against the 3 students. Those 3 later sued the school in April of 2022, claiming the university violated their free speech. Eventually, a judge ruled the university had to rescind the no-contact order, and the school was ordered to pay $90,000 to the 3 Christian Legal Society students and their professor. Jane left the law school and moved from Idaho because she felt unsafe and unwelcome. She moved to Washington to attend law school in the Seattle area. Kelly was diagnosed by a doctor as having depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder after the alleged incidents. She started attending classes remotely from her home in Washington. John was required to attend classes in person. With those, he felt unsafe around, according to the lawsuit. He continued to request permission to attend online due to a bone disease and mental health issues. He moved to Arizona in May of 2022, where he was approved to attend classes remotely through the Student in Practice program. So this is a lawsuit that is currently ongoing, even though it piggybacks on the $750K settlement that was just made to Ms. Sanders.
Go Vandals!
And this brings us full circle back to the Cup of Joe interview with C. Scott Green. I will link the entire interview in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think of this information. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay safe, give this video a like, and be kind to one another.
How does the University of Idaho respond to that?
Well, we've always based our decisions on folks making, hitting our criteria. I'm struggling for the words exactly, but that's it. Basically, if you meet our criteria, you're accepted to the University of Idaho.
Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.